I know the price of success, dedication, hard work, and an unremitting devotion to the things you want to see. I almost said unrelenting. I guess that's similar. Anyway, that's a quote by Frank Lloyd Wright. My friends, what we ask you to do, devote 10 to 15 minutes each and every day. Don't worry how long it takes, because once you conquer the markets, once you become a charting master, you will make up for all the time you spent. Now, let's jump into these charts. We see that the NASDAQ 100 flat for the day. S&P 500 up a little bit. Bonds and gold down. Bitcoin just barely up 0.06%. First, let's jump into the S&P 500. As we look at the chart, we can see that we went to red yesterday, and then things popped up today. What we didn't have happen on the STC, it didn't happen like it did back in the beginning of November, where it dropped off and then reset. And of course, we saw this first big candle push through the 200 EMA. I know a number of you took this practice trade, and I went ahead and charted it for you. The entry point was around 11 a.m., somewhere like that. 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio did not work all the way, only ended up garnering a 1.35% after we had this red entry. Now, you could have stayed in, hoping against hope that things might turn around, since this was a red spinning top and it hadn't gone to red on the STC, but you would clearly have gotten out here. You wouldn't have lost anything. You're above the loss point, the entry point there, well above the loss parameters. But again, when it goes to red, almost all the time you need to pull it, particularly when you've had a real bump up like that. When it pulls back, it's going to be not significant, but it's going to probably take you out of that. So again, if you jumped out there, not a bad call. If you stayed on in, that's fine. You would have gone ahead and pulled it, not lost anything. Trying to reset here. The only problem is that we're not having a reset on the STC. Remember, it has to go all the way back to red, move through this center area, and then move up again on the green hard. Not doing that, so we don't have a trade on the S&P 500. We look at where we are on the 2-day. It is, of course, trying to break through. Well, that's rather bothersome. You can't see it. That's just sort of ruled out. I tell you what, I'm just going to have to get rid of that. There we go. Now you can see where we are as far as the EMA goes. We are green on the STC. We're below the 200 EMA on that 2-day chart. We look at the weekly, and of course move this up. You can see where we bounced off the 200 EMA many weeks ago, and again reaching a more recent higher high. So that's good. Things are moving in the right direction. We just need a reset on our smallest chart to give us the trigger for entry, and that has not happened. Watch for it. Maybe it'll happen this next week. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, there are plenty of other things to trade. You don't have to try to cheat to win. And by cheating, I mean not following the rules. By the way, great training at the end of today's video. You will see a link to our wave technique. And at the end of that wave technique video, links to 4 other very important videos. The ones dealing with setting your profit and loss bands using the average true range, a success multiplier formula, and the always winning method. So all those very, very valuable, all for free, all for you. Please spend some time this weekend learning what you are supposed to be doing. Now, where are we on the NASDAQ 100? It is flat for the day. We saw the NASDAQ move down for a day and a half and then really sideways this last day and a half. Still green on the STC, waiting for that to roll over to red to give us an opportunity maybe for a down move. Now, you balance that against where we are on the 2-day. 2-day is below the 200 EMA, so we are in, again, a down position. We are in a down trend, but our STC is moving up and we have green candles, so that balances out. Again, you got that fighting against you. And check out what happened this last week. We've gone from red to green on the STC with the weekly chart, and it has pushed above quite strongly the 200 EMA on the weekly chart. So if you go into a down position here, if we have a rotation over on the STC at the beginning of the week on the shortest chart, you are fighting the 2-day and the weekly. In other words, you have a positive 14 success multiplier formula and you're going negative. So if you do that, have a good reason for it, monitor it, see what you learn in your practice trade. Remember, not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. Now, let's look at where we are on 20-year bonds. Down for the day, 0.69%. First red candle we've seen going back to the middle of November, so the 14th of November. So as we look at this half-day chart, we see how things ended up down some on Friday, haven't gone to red on the STC. Where are we on the 2-day? 2-day is green and positive. Hadn't reached a higher high on this latest one. Of course, with all of bonds, I'm pulling this down so you can see how far below the 200 EMA we are on the 2-day chart. That's a long way, my friends. A lot of losses. Trying to recover some. Look at where we are on the weekly. And again, we are also way below the 200 EMA. There it is. But we have the first green candle in a while. However, unlike the NASDAQ 100, S&P, and the S&P, we see that we are red on that weekly chart. So if things do convert over going down, we will be at a negative 14. That means the half day and we'll be at a negative 11. Means the half day and the weekly are down on the STC and could give us a potential entry point. It's positive right now. I'm talking about if it goes negative on this half-day chart. So we have the 2-day fighting against us, but the weekly and the half-day with us if we go to red. So mark that on your calendar. Be looking for a potential down play. And how do you play a down move on 20-year bonds? Well, puts, of course. If you've taken our 3 trainings options made simple, the Charting Wealth Way, available to all Patreon members. A good reason to become a Patreon supporter is for that great training. If not, you can go into TBF. What is TBF? It is the single inverse fund of 20-year bonds, and it goes up as 20-year bonds go down. Yes, it's a different price, but it is pegged to move percentage inverse. So if the S&P, the 20-year bonds are going down, TBF is going up like we saw at the end of the day. So mark that down. Be on the lookout for that next week. Remember, this is the weekly review and forecast. We look at what's happened and what might be happening over the course of the next week. Now we look at gold pulling back. Just what I wanted to see. Red down STC. I want it to clear this center area, get down to the bottom or at least below it as we did here, and then take over green and go back up, and I'm going to be jumping into gold. If it peaks up on Monday and runs back up through, I will not be jumping in. We have to go all the way down below this bottom line here in this grayed area, or it's a little green it looks like. Anyway, then it resets. We just barely got below it. If, of course, price had been above the 200 EMA, it was below it, so we're not jumping in. But Tom, look at what we could have made. Yes, coulda, woulda, shoulda. The problem is it didn't fit into our parameters, and the reason we do things the way we do them is because we want them to work time in and time out. Jumping in when you see turnovers like this, hoping they're going to work just because things after you look back and Monday morning quarterback worked, is not the way we trade, because that's not real life. That's not what you see, and that's not what happens. So we are waiting for gold to pull back like that. Now, if that happens, where are we? Well, we're green on the STC on gold. When it comes to the 2-day chart below the 200 EMA, would love to see things blast off next week and punch above it. And on the weekly, we've moved through the 200 EMA, and we're green there too. So if things rotate over, if we clear this center band on the half-day chart, rotate back over, we'll be a positive 15, and we will be plugging into a gold practice trade. Lastly, we go to 20-year. We go to XBTF. This is Bitcoin. Bitcoin about flat, 0.06% up for the day. That's 0.6%. Bitcoin has been hammered down. You listen to the Charting Crypto and Commodities podcast that we just released on YouTube. Please watch that, listen to it over the weekend. We're not seeing anything in the crypto space right now. It's just friggin' damage control after the crash of FTX. We'll just wait, watch, and see. 2-day chart. You can just see where things have plummeted down. Maybe it's making a lower floor now. We were hoping that 1820 mark would be it. Told you we would wait, watch, and see, not do anything. And of course, that rewarded us. First rule in trading, don't lose money. Second rule in trading, make money. Obeyed first rule, didn't lose money. Not time to make money yet in your practice trades on Bitcoin. We will be waiting. That's where we are, folks, as we end the day. Thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate the Patreon supporters. Appreciate you. We always love to hear from you. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. Write us cw@chartingwealth.com. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.